I was raised by a bunch of Southern women, so I learned to be non-confrontational and passive-aggressive. Oh, look what you've got on. I learned how to deal with conflict the proper way. Play the victim and talk about them behind your back. So, when I moved to D.C., I was waiting tables at the Daily Grill, the one up here on Connecticut and M, which is basically a Fridays for people who make over $100,000 a year and don't know how to behave in public. I would work in the bar area with all those bar tables serving young people who were living the life that I was supposed to have, Cosmos and beers. I would go in at 3 o'clock and then the bar would close at 1. Other bars were still open and serving, but we closed at 1. And it was one Saturday night I'd been working all day. You could tell because everything I had served was on my apron and I smelled like beer and I was tired, but I believed in customer service. So when these two ladies walked in who were obviously drunk from somewhere else, after we'd given last call, I was really nice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really sorry. We've given last call. I can't serve you. And she said, really? You're just not trying. So I went over and talked to the bartender. You know, these ladies really want something to drink. Can we get them something to drink? And he told me in no certain terms, no way we were serving these ladies. So I went over like, yeah, I tried. Really, I'd like to serve you, but I can't. Is it because I'm black? Oh, no, not at all. It's just because it's after 1 o'clock. You know, you are worthless. Can someone else wait on me? That's when something snapped. And I thought I crossed a line. I looked at her and said, you have to be the rudest person I've ever dealt with in my life. And she looked back at me and said, do you really think I care what you think about me, you silly faggot? You're probably just jealous because I get more dick than you. Really? Faggot? Is that what you're going to play? Really? Is that all you've got to throw at me? I mean, that word used to mean something when I was in high school and it was yelled at me as I crossed the gym floor. You know, that word meant something to me when I was outed in fraternity and it was chanted as I walked across campus. That word used to mean something when my uncle used it at the Thanksgiving table after I'd come out. But now, guess what, sister? I've moved to the big city. I figured out who I am. And if you think your drunk ass is going to come here and crack my face in the middle of my house, you have something else to think about. And just so you will know, and one day your children will know, I'm getting all the dick that I want. That's right. That's exactly what I wish I had said. What I did was kind of one of these, and I looked around at all my other tables, and they were just staring at me like disappointment. This one guy looked at me and just shook his head and looked down. And she, thinking she had won, started to walk away, and then something really snapped in my head. And as she got into that revolving door, I slid right into the compartment with her, and I stopped it with my foot. And I had her trapped. And this Nelly faggot was getting ready to go butch all over her ass. And all I could do was cry. I was so mad. All I could do was cry. And you got the hitches. Don't you ever come into this restaurant again. I work here every Friday and Saturday night. I don't have a life. I know everyone that comes in here. I know the bartenders. You are banned here from life. I don't ever want to see you. Do you understand? And she leaned into me and she said, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to own your ass. And that's when I decided I had not thought this through. So I decided to turn and leave. But those things, they don't move backwards. And she looked at me and said, watch this. And she put her foot against the door, and she started banging on the glass, screaming, he's trying to kill me! And people started coming from the bar and lining up. And I started pushing her, and she was pushing back, and I'm pushing her, and she's pushing back, and I give one big heave, and the door spins around, and we both land flat out on Connecticut on the pavement. I jump back up, I run inside, I run back to the office where the manager is counting money, and I'm like, we kind of have an incident. You're never going to believe this. This woman called me a faggot. And he's like, that's awful. Where is she? I want to talk to her. And I'm like, well, one more thing. I kind of trapped her in the revolving door and told her she was banned for life. And then I pushed her out on the street. And he just looked at me and shook his head. So we go back into the bar, and he's talking to her, and I'm going to my tables, and they are throwing cash at me. My tables are happy now. I have redeemed myself. Until the manager comes over, and he positions himself where he's got his back to her, and he's looking at me, he's going, okay, she's not going to leave until I fire you. So I'm going to pretend to fire you and scold you, and then you need to take your apron off and walk to the back. I was like, really? So I did it. And the next day I come into work, and the general manager has a little write-up for him. It seems they're going to give me a 3-day vacation. And I just look at it, and there's a place for comments. And I write, that drunken bitch better be glad I didn't go butch all over her ass. Thank you.
Kevin. Oh my gosh. George Takei would have torn her a new asshole. He would have put her in her place. That is amazing. You were trapped in a glass box of emotion. With the most evil woman in the world. That's what's so creepy about lawyers, is it like, of course she's the one that knows how to break the law in a way that will benefit her. She's like, she probably had 2 clients that did that and got them off for it and then was like, I'm gonna do that one day, and she did it to you, bitch. Wow, that was pretty incredible. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little winded. I have so many things to say about the story, I just need to sort of pull it all in. Not long ago I snapped. I have a little white dog named Charlie. He's half Jack Russell, half Chihuahua. And, thank you. And I was walking him one night in Brooklyn, and I looked across the street at where my apartment was, and I noticed this woman had a dog that was doing the full squat, like doing its business. And then I saw her walk away, like no, and I was like, no, so I walked over and I saw it. It was still there. She was like 10 feet away, and it was trash night. So literally everything of garbage, full of bags of like, you know, to-go food, grocery. They were sitting there. She literally would have had to, like, let's say that you forgot bags. You would have gone, so simple. And I looked at her, and as I looked at her, she looked over her shoulder, and she started running down the block with her dog. And something in me snapped, and do you know what I did? I picked up her dog poop, and I chased her with it. And I knew that it wasn't sensible. And we got around the corner, and then I didn't see her. And then all of a sudden I saw her, and she thought she had like lost me. And there was a garbage can right next to me. And I had, you know when that moment where you're like, you're not gonna do the horrible thing, like beat the crap, but you're gonna like confront them? I held it and I said, hey! Real butch, just like that. Hey! And she looked at me, and there was a garbage can here, and I said, I picked up your dog's poop, fell in the garbage, and she looked at me and she just said, fuck you. Gave her a piece of my mind. She'll never do that again. Oh God, I hate her so much. All right.